and welcome to TQ Talks, where we talk taxes and tax-free living 365. Here are your hosts, Craig White, Sebastian Singh, and Patrick Augustin.
Man, thank you guys. We're happy to have you. If you have not joined us before, just want to let you know we are a tax and advisory firm. Our job is to help people to reduce the amount of taxes they might have or owe coming into the tax season. Of course, that requires tax planning. That's what we specialize in. And of course, we use life insurance to help people plan for the future as well as an investment option. With me today in our wonderful TQ Talks, I'm excited that we finally have Sir
your boy
Patrick
Pat on the mic.
That's right. Finally deciding to join us on our
people's
podcast. And of course, that's Patrick over there. And we also have, as always, Sebastian with us. Guys, happy to have you all here, man.
Yeah, it's good.
Likewise.
It's good to have Pat here, right?
Hey, about time, I guess.
People's champ.
People's champ. Man. So, we've gone through a couple of podcasts, and there's one in particular we want to make sure we talk about because as we're going in the fourth quarter, right, we're getting tax planning. We've been reaching out to our clients. Thank God that is actually slowing down right now. But December comes, we're going to do that again, just finalize a couple of people. But one of the things that we saw and Bassie brought to my attention was a clip on Instagram where a gentleman, I don't know his name, says, hey, everyone could have a 10K deduction. And that was like viral, right? Because he was really addressing the fact that anyone can take a business deduction, and he was actually right. So I wanted to at least talk about that to help our clients and, of course, anyone listening to understand how they can actually do that and how that works in their life.
So we're going to touch on how everyone can be a business, their hobbies, their side work, their whatever, can come in as a business and then qualify. We'll use their qualified deductions to help them achieve their goals a little better. Most people are looking to reduce their liability and either increase their refund or just reduce how much they owe,
Yep. So part of it is the gentleman didn't go into much of it, but he just kept saying, hey, everyone, you have the ability to get that 10K deduction. And what he's speaking of is the losses that businesses take, right? So you open up a business and everybody knows within the first 3 to 5 years, you're probably going to have losses. So there's the IRS. They realize that. So he's saying, hey, for example, if you're making $100,000 and you're going to pay taxes on $100,000, why not open up a small business? I'm assuming hopefully that's what he's going for. And if you have a loss of up to the $10,000, or again, we're not going to go into the details because it actually be more than that. But if the $10,000 is there, at least you reduce your income from at least taxable income from $100,000 down to $90,000. My question, or Pat, if you can help us, I think people really need to understand though, what's the purpose of setting up a business? Because they could just write anything off if they want to, theoretically.
Well, I'm going to chime in on one aspect before we get to that. Is a lot of people on Instagram or whatever they call it, right? They say start this, start that, start a business. Okay, what type of business? What are your interests? Everybody's talking, I can't be a lawn person. I don't mow lawn. Right. So how can I start a business of more a lawn service company where I don't do that? Right. So the IRS looks at stuff like that where it says, okay, is it just a hobby or this is just a fraud? Right.
Pretending like a shell company,
not even a shell company. More so of you just want to take losses so you could reduce your liability,
just pay less,
or get a bigger refund.
Right.
Like Instagram, the people on Instagram, they don't tell you exactly how to set it up or what ways to set it up. Right. They skip a few steps before they get to that. Oh, you could take a 10 deduction. Right.
So what you're saying is there again with the word intentionality. So just taking a loss is not taking a loss. You should be making sure that you have a real business. The IRS wants you to actually be actively pursuing making money, right? It doesn't mean, hey, I'm just going to make up something. And, guys, we know what really happens, but you can't just come out and say, hey, we're going to write off this, because I bought it last week. You should be really trying to make money. You should be having, websites if you can, blog, whatever the case is, to show them, God forbid, in the case of an audit, that I was actually trying to make this business work. And guess what? I just had a bunch of expenses, startup costs, inventory, whatever it is, depending on what you're trying to do, travel, meals. We can go through all that another time, but there are real expenses for my real business. I just happen to do bad this year and next year and probably the next one.
Right. And to bring them all together too is it has to make sense for your business, like what Pat was saying. One, if you're mowing lawns, don't act like you have a salon. And obviously your expenses have to be related or necessary for that industry.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And so we always tell people, at least in our office, the discussion as we talk to everybody about this. And we say, hey, if you choose to do it because it is work, and you decide, we'll definitely help you set up the business as part of our services. But you need to, the easy focus if you don't have a business already is to look at where your disposable income goes. Where does the most of your money go?
Right.
Is it buying food? Is it clothing? Is it traveling? And then try to center a business around that, because obviously there's an interest there.
Yeah.
So there's only two things that can really happen. One, you could make a lot of money and then have to pay more taxes. I don't think that's that bad, right? Making more money. I never heard people whine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Or you lose money, and again, you were going to lose it anyway because this is where your money was going naturally, and you reduce your tax liability and increase your refund if you were getting one, or reduce the amount of taxes you owe.
Well, perfect example. A few years ago, we had a client that's his interest was cycling,
Yes.
and he came to us, and the amount of money he was spending on these bikes,
Yep.
we said, just make this a business.
Right.
Like,
And it's legitimate.
legitimate.
Right.
That's what he does it on
All the time.
on a
He
weekly
trains.
basis. He trains,
Right.
and he got his wife into it.
Right.
Bought whatever, how much the bikes
How
cost.
much ever equipment and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was able to just
'Cause
write it
that
off.
is not cheap.
Yeah.
No.
No. But that's
And it was a simple write off.
right. It's legitimate. That's the whole point. So make it real. Right.
And your first step is what Pat loves and hates, are knowing your budget, right?
Oh, boy.
Like if you look at your budget, you'll see where your money's going.
Yep.
If that can be, or most of the time it can be, if that could be turned into your small business, and that's what you should be doing, or that's the avenue you should be going down.
Yeah, and so as we move past that point, you also, you need to set up a business. Everybody says, I don't need whatever. Yes, you should. You should actually set up an LLC or whatever it is. We can talk about the different types depending on how your business is going. But 9 out of 10, we're talking about an LLC to start with because, as everyone says, and hopefully you know it by now, you're trying to adjust, or wrong word. You're not trying to adjust. You're trying to stop a lawsuit from occurring and having to deal with your personal income getting affected by your business lawsuit, right? So the LLC allows the separation of this. At least it definitely helps with that happening. So that way, again, if something were to happen, God forbid, the worst case scenario, you're able to say, listen, you can go after this, but you can't go after that. And that's the purpose of it. And here's the other part. Again, it's so simple. It's a win-win. Even you spend the couple $100s to set up the business, it's another expense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? So who
That's a
cares?
expense to begin with.
Right. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter at all. So again, to review, yes, everyone can be a business. You should be taking the time to separate, not lie, to separate your
personal
From your business.
which we'll get into. And you, Pat, whoever discussed that, but you should take the time to at least establish an LLC or something like that to make sure it's legitimate. As Bassie said, review budgets. If you're not budgeting, you guys need to look at where your money's going to see where your disposable income is going, so you can actually have a real business and find something that's already a target for you. And Pat, you already said it, so please, could you give us explain the whole separating and blah, blah, blah. It sounds easy for you because you do it all the time, but
It's all
everybody
about
else.
really separating your personal income and expenses with your business, not commingling the two together.
Why?
Because when you come sit in front of you or sit in front of us, we're like, okay, where's your expenses?
Right.
How can I tell what this line item is if it's
Right.
mixed in with your personal income and expenses,
Mm-hmm.
and you want me to deduct that for your business?
Right.
IRS come to me and say, I don't know.
Right. And the IRS is going to do the exact same thing, guys. That's what tax preparers are, enrolled agents, CPAs, et cetera, lawyers. They are people that are supposed to be the first line of defense for the IRS. So the information we give you is literally what they're going to be asking.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
we don't know, what is this item that you gave me, because I have zero idea. And guys, it's not that hard to actually get a business credit card and do different things. So that way you have easy ways of tracking all your income and expenses. And it's just it's a no-brainer, right? It's a simple thing to do.
And whenever you set up, or whenever we set up businesses for our clients here, we definitely line them up with how to get their EIN,
Mm-hmm.
which banks we suggest at the time, or if they have their own, and just how to really set up that business side of it so that it doesn't commingle.
Right.
So from day one, we help you get on your feet. What you do from there, we hope you just follow the guidance. But make it really, really clean. That way, when you do come to see us or your tax preparer, you have all your ducks in a row.
Right. And we also have another podcast in case you guys are saying, okay, well, this sounds great, but I still don't understand the business structure thing. We have another one where we talk about, I think it's called What Type of Business Am I or something like that. But it ends up going over the sole proprietorship, single member LLC, S Corp, C Corp, partnership, etc., what they are, pros and cons of them, and it'll tell you, hey, this is where you need to be or you want to be. And again, you could always reach out to us and we'd be happy to help you to differentiate and understand what needs to be done. Now, obviously, we are in the fourth quarter of, 2022.
Yep.
You guys still have time. You have time to set up the business.
Still do it.
And you still have time. If you said, guys, I've spent money all through January, it's now November. Yes, you can still deduct those expenses.
Deduct it,
You
exactly.
still can. You just set it up. Make sure you're legit, right? Stay above water. Don't get in the eyes of the IRS. Don't get on their target sheet.
Right.
And again, why not? Do things the right way. That's what we're all about. And still get the same results that you'd want to get. So why not do that?
Or better, right? Because back to the tax planning, it's to achieve your goal.
Right. So, guys, again, we thank you for having us or joining us today on our podcast. We really, really appreciate you being with us today. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. Our 800-413-1456. If you're not following us on all our social media platforms,
all of them, please.
Please do just search TQ. That's Top Quality Financial Services, and we'll be happy to have you on board with us. Pat, man, anything you want to say before we run out of here?
It was nice being here with you guys today.
Thanks for gracing us with your presence.
Well, thanks for coming.
And please like, share, subscribe, all those good things you always hear on all the social media platforms.
We'll see you on the next one,
And
guys.
shouts out to Liam.
Yeah.
Always.
Later, guys.
Thank you for listening to TQ Talks. If you enjoyed this show, please rate and recommend on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get more information at TQFinancials.com.